Shoobity bop bop ba, shoobity bop bop. Welcome back, my friends, to BjjBrick Quick. My name is Byron. We're talking about jiu-jitsu. Not messing around. I'm going to spend the first 4 minutes of this round kind of avoiding a takedown. We're getting right to it. We're talking about maps and jiu-jitsu. Talking about mapping out your grappling. One thing I've noticed is that maps look different around the world. I live in the United States. I live in Kansas. It's this kind of central location in the United States. If I were to go to the store and buy a global map, it would have the United States on it, obviously, but there would be a 0% chance that the U.S. would be cut in half. like part of the U.S. on the left side of the map, and the other part of the U.S. on the right side of the map. They're not going to cut it in half. It's where they're selling their map at. So if you go to recently, last year, went to Africa. I were to buy a global map in Africa. Africa would not be cut in half. I think I went to Thailand. I think I saw a map in Thailand of the United States cut right down the middle. That's pretty neat. It's just like, here's the parts that you're buying the globe for, more or less. It's all on there, but one of them is more central to the focus. So think about your jiu-jitsu, or maybe the school that you train at. You know, we're not cutting the United States in half to sell on a map here in the U.S. What part of your map is front row center at your school? Jake, I mentioned Jake just a couple of days ago at Fox Fitness. He'll tell us. He says, I want all my students to be good at applying pressure and getting the back. That's a kind of a goal he has for all of us. And maybe I should do some pressure episodes, because me and Jake have some different opinions about pressure. But I agree that pressure is very important. And I've rolled with some pretty skilled people in jiu-jitsu that didn't apply much pressure. And I've rolled with some mid-tier skill people at Fox Fitness, and they will apply a ton of pressure. I'm not talking about like just being heavier or stronger than me. The technique of pressure, how to apply it, how to disrupt somebody's breathing, how to squeeze their body in a way, the rib cage, to make it tough to breathe, or to point their face in a certain direction. It is an interesting feeling. It'll get people to react in a certain way. But pressure is important to Jake. It's on our roadmap. It's on the center. He's never going to cut it in half and make it not important. If he's teaching anything about side control, I can almost guarantee it. He's going to mention, keeping the pressure on while you apply this technique. If he shows a arm bar and there's a way that if the arm bar fails, you can take the back, he'll probably mention it. Taking the back is important to his school, to his program. If you go to some school that is known for something, they're world-class at a certain type of sweep or a guard play or situation, that's centralized in your map. Knowing that and working with that, that's important. And you'll have an advantage when you're on the mats with people who aren't familiar with that nearly as much. Now, do you have an area of your game that you've neglected? Possibly. Possibly I'm applying pressure when I should be doing something else sometimes. It's hard to think that pressure is the wrong answer to things. But I want you to just think about your jiu-jitsu, and maybe not just your coach or your school, but what is central to your jiu-jitsu? I have favored submissions that are chokes so much more than joint lock submissions in the past several years. They're more fun for me to end in a choke. I think about my more common submissions, they're chokes. Nothing wrong with that. Thinking about my joint locks, they're typically upper body. Maybe I should change that focus a little bit, remap out something for at least a couple of months and tune up my leg attack game. As of now, I'm working a little bit more on my takedowns. Guys, think about your map. We talked this week about maps. How, when I write these show titles, I just want the coolest, most sexy title to put on there and catch your eye. And how could you not download this episode? So I'm like, maps. Yeah, that's going to do it. Everyone's going to flock to the podcast for these episodes. No, I think these are interesting topics that will help the people that do listen out. That's it. These may not be the most downloadable things. I could have come up with a controversial topic and really drilled it home this past week. But I think one of the things that will help you in jiu-jitsu out the most is having a roadmap and having the right direction, having the right things on that map, some good data points, and sticking with it. If you've enjoyed the podcast, I'd appreciate your support. Check me out on Patreon. There's a link at BjjBrick.com. You can go to Patreon through there. Support $1 or $2 per month. That means a ton to me. I really appreciate you guys that do that. Hope you have a great day, my friend, and stay sweaty.